Hey, it's me, Ollie. 2022 flew by and I wanted to show you some of my favorite photos from this year and break some of them down for you. I've got my Mac here. Now they're in a few different categories, so I think we should just start with the portraits. After all, I am a portrait photographer primarily. I spent a lot of time abroad this year, which means that I only did a handful of portrait sessions. The first two were from a project which has been 2 years in the making. And to be honest, there are just too many to pick from in this case, from this whole session. But let's take a look at the first one. And in this one here, really, I love her pose. I love the way she's crouching there. And it's really up to you to decide whether it's a moment of vulnerability or is it maybe a moment before she lunges at you with all kinds of ill intentions. You don't really know. In the second photo, Betty simply has a powerful expression. I mean, she's just such a wonderful model. She's such a wonderful muse to work with. And for this photo, one thing what I will say about the project, it had a lot to do with the monster within. I find she did a fantastic job. And this photo is without a doubt one of my favorites of the year. Now, both of these photos were taken with my favorite lens of all time, at least for its optical quality. And this is the Leica 75mm Summilux. Now, this is a photo of my brother. He's got a few things that he needs to figure out ahead of him. I wanted to represent this in the photo as well. So there's the light hitting at the top of the tree behind him, combined with the bokeh. I asked him to direct his gaze upwards, in the sense that all the bokeh swirl above him represents the things that he needs to figure out. I'm very happy with the way this one turned out. And it's another amazing lens here, by the way. This is the Zeiss Zonar 50mm 1.5C, which just has such a fantastic character. It's one of my favorites as well. This, on the other hand, is a self-portrait. I made a YouTube video about this session, actually, and I totally messed up the audio, which is a shame. I'm going to give the video another go, and then I'll show more from this session as well. I like the way it turned out. I like this blurry aesthetic. And this is the photo which inspired that self-portrait. It's less confusing and a way more attractive model than myself. We were driving by and the sun was setting. I saw this opportunity. He stopped the car, got my wife to get out, pointed the lights at the car, and it turned out exactly the way I was hoping that it would. Here's some more self-portraits and abstract experiments of mine. I don't think they are quite where I want them to be. They are on the right track. I will be doing some more in this coming year. Also, these photos, they pay homage to the 6x7 crop, which the Mamiya, the Pentax medium format cameras, as well as others have made use of, in yesteryear. And it's a lovely crop factor. I wish it was used more often, to be honest. Now, before I continue, all the photos use one or a combination of my presets. So, sometimes as a base and sometimes no further editing at all. Use 2023 to get 10% off of any of the packs till the end of January. And yep, that's it. Shameless plug right there. Let's continue. So I mentioned a lot of time abroad this year, which means I've seen way more sun than I'm used to in Switzerland. And this is the second theme as well, the sun. As you can see, I simply love it, right? My knees go weak for evening sun, for golden hour, blue hour, basically any hour when the sun is shining. And as you can see, this year has very much been about letting that sun shine and capturing that mood in a photograph. One day after I narrowly lost a one-on-one basketball with my buddy Arvis. Narrowly, right? I mean, it was neck and neck, I tell you. I got him to shoot a few hoops and I took these as well. Bruno, my Toyota, my love, he digs that evening sun too. These were taken with the Voigtlander 21mm. Fantastic lens. More modern than the Leica 75mm Zoomilux and the Zeiss 50mm Sonar, but still a fantastic lens. My wife and I on an evening walk and some in-camera movement. This photo I enjoy very much. Other than the sun, it's the odd one out, right? I mean, although each of the pots are relatively the same distance, one of the shadows is much further from the rest. It's a fifth wheel of sorts, And if we go to the next photo here, again, all the poles are the same distance apart, but perspective, again, leaves the odd one out. And it was on the same walk, literally about maybe, 300 meters away. I very much enjoy taking both of these photos. We arrived at this village, and it's really the weathered wall and the metallic panels of this beat up old truck that do it for me in this photo. I decided to go with a 2x1 crop for the photo as well. I don't think that's done often. I'm not quite sure. I just enjoy it. I've done that a lot. I've got a lot of wide crops this year. In this photo, I dig the reflections of the water against the sky and the land. In this one, the rays of light and the contrast between the warm sun and the dark blue clouds almost against the village skyline. And for some reason, this photo with the birds on the power line, the hazy evening sun, the mountain range in the background, somehow this reminds me of the times that I spent in Africa. Those were great years. And the third theme of my photos was the beach. I took the Ricoh GRii, which, by the way, is just a phenomenal little camera. It's really fantastic. And I've dropped mine already in the ocean in Italy about 2 years ago. The shutter doesn't work. So many things I've done to this camera, and it still takes pictures, which is fantastic. Anyways, I took this to the beach, and in the edits, as you can see, although I decided to keep the punchy blacks, because I like dark, punchy blacks, I still wanted to edit these with these washed out, discolored type looks, the kind that you see on posters or magazines or photos when they'd been kept out in the sun too long, and then wherever you have like highlights, they're kind of blown out and this and that. That's what these photos are all about for me. Yeah, and I think that worked out very well. I think some of these are probably going to be printed out. At the very least, they're going to make it into our photo album for years to come. Yeah, that was the third theme, was the beach, and moving swiftly on to the next theme. And this is a big one, was just, colors, frames, and symmetries. In the absence of all my muses and my models that I'm used to, I got to spend a lot of time photographing all kinds of different things, exploring in a way, and that was a big thing for me. Now, this is a spot I passed the whole time, and despite it being totally weathered, the colors combined with the lines here, it screams to point a camera towards, and I think this was the Ricoh GRii as well. This is a very symbolic photo for me. I mean, first you've got the contrast of color, blue versus yellow, but then there is also the contrast of order and chaos. The left square is halved by a straight line from a street sign or something. You just have chaos on the right. Even the bottom left has a curved gradient of a shadow slowly transitioning in. You've got harsh, blocky stairs on the bottom right, just bullying its way into the photo, into the frame. It's very much about balance, this photo, for me. This was taken on the 21mm. The camera, this one was Leica SL2-S. Most of these are on the Leica. Another symbolic photo. In a sense, light and freedom outside through the frame, reflected in the mirror, as if encouraging to continue to do what you set out to do in the first place. It's one of hope and encouragement for me, to be honest. And it seems as if I just like to take photos in bathrooms. It's especially, in this case, it's especially about the light and the colored tiles for me in this one. Here, a photo taken from the outside, looking inside with a view to the outside. I don't think you can get more meta than that, to be honest. This was taken with the Fuji X-Pro2. Any Fuji shooters among you? This photo, I'm not quite sure what's drawn me to it. There's a lot. The combination of Coca-Cola, which, well done. You guys are simply everywhere, right? Well done to the marketing department there. The combination of Coca-Cola and the textures and the broken window and the cage, and there's just so much character in this photo without there actually being a subject. The character of the photo is a subject for me. A photo that I just very much like and enjoy. These next two were on a ferry, and in keeping with the theme of frames, I very much enjoyed how the frames let in the sunlight here, and like a spotlight in a theater almost, Both of these photos are asking for someone to walk through the light or out the frame, in the case of this one with the latter. In traditional Japanese aesthetics, Wabi-sabi is a world view centered on the acceptance of transience and imperfection. I think that's what Wikipedia says, basically one-to-one. That's a theme you may have noticed running through a lot of the photos so far, and this series was the first I shot after having learned about this term. In general, my photography is not very clean. It is very much about imperfection, and that's where this photo series comes from that I did here of, I believe, my wife's geranium, I don't know, flowers, the dried flowers. The next theme are Candids. Generally, this means photos of my wife, and in this case, I love the lighting on her face and the explosion of color in the room that we were renting, the silhouette of my wife sleeping and the texture of the bed linen shooting against the light. Another photo I enjoy, which will be in the family photo album as well as YouTube, it appears. This photo was taken with the Leica M9 and the Zeiss Sonar 50mm on one of our walks. And now I love the M9 and the sensor on it, but this is all the lens. This lens is just, it's the bee's knees, as they'd like to say. Fruits and vegetables everywhere. How can you not want to take a photo here? And I really wanted to just bring across that abundance of fruit and veg everywhere. Again, here I wanted to get a mood similar from my hazy memory of alpine ads in the 80s of, when you used to go skiing and everything that have these close-up cropped frames and these sunglasses generally. Next theme is camping and sleeping outdoors and landscapes, and we did a lot of that this year. This photo was taken at 10 past midnight in summer, and I think the moon was out. I don't know, it was maybe about a half moon or so. I'm not quite sure. I can't really remember. 5 hours later, some fishermen woke us with their trucks. After they set out to sea, I was awake anyways, so I went outside, pointed the camera in the other direction, and then took this photo. And in this case, it's the texture of the water that really gets me in this photo. Again, as you can see, I've gone for a little bit of a wider crop. I think this is a 2x1. This is from that very same morning, my wife watching the sun rise in the east. The reflection of the window is what I enjoy about this photo a lot, and it'll forever bring back good memories from our camping. The silhouette of Bruno was taken during a video to inspire photographers and creatives to go and create stuff, make photos. I'll link the videos that some of these photos have featured in below, so you should definitely check them out. So was this one. This was also taken from that exact same video. I mean, the moon was just insane, indescribable. No photo of the moon or sun will ever do what you feel or experience when you see it with your naked eye justice. That's not going to happen. This is an outtake from that video, actually. Outtake in the sense I never published this photo, despite the fact that I really like it. There's something I love about the shakiness in the long exposure here. I mean, I was driving whilst I was shooting this photo, and just the camera was all over the place, and I don't know, it gets me. I like it. This was taken at 3:45 p.m., but with the edit, it seems like it may have been taken, in the pale moonlight sometime. There's just something otherworldly about it for me, This is where I was actually headed in that photographer inspiration photo video, but I changed my mind halfway. I was running a little bit late. I was taking my time filming too many cool scenes. I love the windy road in this photo. And this is on top of that hill. And it's not the first time, to be honest, that we've sought rest or shelter near a church, to be honest. 4 years ago, we had a absolutely miserable night outdoors and found shelter the next morning, also by a church very similar to this one. Yeah, well, that's another story. These next photos are also from a video I made recently testing Thomas Heaton's thesis that a nice view doesn't make a good landscape photo. This first one with the mist and the rolling hills, I believe, is Landscape 101, but it's the first time I've taken a photo like this, and I like it. And this one was taken 25 minutes later. It's kind of crazy how when the clouds leave and the sun can shine through, it feels like a different day, a different place. Also a 6x7 crop in this one. Yes, shout out 6x7. There we go, we're making a comeback. The view from the top of a mountain, precisely what we came to test. A huge cloud racing over towards us, and a very good reason to use a 2.7x1 crop. Yes, I used to own a Hasselblad X-Pen, and you don't get to use such wide crops, or I don't, in portraiture, and maybe that's something to do for the next time when one of my muses happens to be floating around. Anyways, with that cloud cover heading our way, we had to race down, and that's how this photo of my wife came to be. And now we slowly transition from the landscapes and the camping to the final theme, Misc. Miscellaneous. Basically anything that I couldn't fit into another theme or not. On my walks to the basketball court, there is this tree. It reminds me of Africa. It's a photo I would like a lot more if the gate on the left and the house on the right were not there to distract from the tree through the brush, but I like it nevertheless. Enough that it belongs to one of my favorites of 2022. The wind. The wind played a big role in our lives this year because it's been bloody windy. I guess that's island life for you. I use a 75mm Simulux on the SL2-S at f11 with a shutter speed of 1/5 of a second to capture the evening light falling on the grass moving in the wind. This photo belongs in my top 3 of all photos I've shot this year. This photo of the sands is another testament to the winds that we felt this year. Now this one, I know, it seems kind of odd, right? Like just thrown here, but that's why this is the miscellaneous category. The trash in contrast to nature. The extremely colorful trash as well, I might add. And I made some very peculiar edit decisions here because I pushed the contrast, I pushed the saturation, I made sure that I over-sharpened. I wanted to have a feel of like a small JPEG from a medium to low budget 2003 compact camera, kind of a feel that expressed the texture of all this trash. There's 2 things going on here. One, the sunlight as it hits this perfect little changing hut. I guess, you change your swimming suit in there. And then the layers from the rocks to the sand to the ocean to the sky. That's what I like about this photo. Something similar here again, and again a reason to use that 2.7:1 crop. The ocean somewhere hiding behind all those layers, and the ocean is the biggest element of them all, but in the photo it's the smallest. I've included this one as well because I am a big fan of Edward Hopper. Now, I'm not saying that this is anything like his work, but this is very much inspired by him. It's not there yet, but I hope that this year I will take a photo where it's possible to see that inspiration. This, for me, is a first step into that direction. And the final one, the final photo of my favorite photos of 2022. There is a place in the village I live in where there is an abundance of streetlights, like I've not seen in some of the biggest cities that I've visited. Basically, light explosions all over. It's like fireworks in the sky, and what is more fitting than that for the end of 2022 and the ringing in of 2023. I wish everyone a happy new year. That's it, guys and gals. These are my favorite photos of the year. Let me know if there's any in there that you liked. If you've got any questions as to which camera or lens I used for which photo, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget 10% on all presets. Link is in the description below. Thank you very much for watching this video. Check out some of the other ones as well that I've done. Like, subscribe, and all that jazz. I'm glad you're here. I hope 2023 is going to be a great year for you, taking loads of photos, making loads of cool films, just living that creative life to the fullest. Shout out to Ben Staley from Adventure in Art. He did a video just like this one, which is what inspired me to do the same. So Ben, this one's for you. Thanks a lot for the inspiration. Check out his channel. Cool photos, cool YouTube videos. Overall, cool fella. Check him out. Happy New Year. Take care of yourselves. Looking forward to hearing from you in the comments below. And as always, peace. All right. I think that went okay.